What is up, everybody? My name is Michael Strongflame, and I am a new Wizard101 content creator. This will be my first Wizard101 upload ever, and I'd like to use this video to not only introduce who I am, but I'd like to introduce all my wizards that I have created over the years, and also give you guys my opinion on the best schools to use for the PvE side of Wizard101. I'm not the biggest fan of PvP personally. I know it's like a large part of Wizard101, and I've done PvP on my Storm because I got in the Commander robe and stuff, but it's just not for me. I'm more of a PvE player. I like doing the quest, listening to the storyline, and farming for all that delicious gear and loot. But in this video, I like to just show you guys my characters, introduce you to who they are and how they came about and things like that, and then let you guys know a little bit more about myself and what I have planned for the channel in the future, and do a little giveaway. So if you stick around to the end of the video, there'll be a nice little giveaway and details on how to enter it and win yourself some packs in Wiz101. So first off, we'll introduce you to my fire. This is my fire, and I'm going to be a little bit biased because fire was my first ever wizard that I created, and it is currently my main wizard. This is Michael Strongflame. This is where the name comes from. My very first fire that I ever made back in 2008 was Michael Strongflame. Sadly, this is not the original Michael Strongflame. This is Michael Strongflame Jr. before the original one was lost years and years ago. But I've since recreated him, got him to max level, and been grinding and getting him up there ever since. So, my stats are decent. I really put off farming Dragoon stuff because I'm just lazy and I don't want to do it. But this is Michael Strongflame with his pet Otis, which is a decent pet. But I need the Fire Frill, which I have one right here. He just needs to be quested. I'm not quested up. He needs to be trained up with I need a Pain Giver jewel because when I trained him, he got Fire Giver instead of Pain Giver. So, and I didn't have a jewel ready for that. And the jewels are kind of a pain to get. But other than that, he's really good. He got him mostly max stats, not completely max, but with thinking cap, it makes all of his damage go up. So he will be the perfect companion once I can get that Pain Giver jewel. But Michael Strongflame was my first ever wizard, and will forever be my main go-to wizard. And he will also be the rank 1 in the schools for PvE questing, in my opinion. Fire is the way to go. Once you hit endgame, fire really starts to pick up because, not minding my stats because I don't have the right gear, but once you get up there, your damage is insane. You have decent resist. Your health can go through the roof. I've seen fires with like 9,000 health nowadays, which is insane. And you can go on the more offense side and go more damage, more critical if you'd like. And overall, the fire spells are really, really good. You get a good AoE hit early on in the game. You get Meteor. I think it's at like level 24 or something like that, if I remember right. So, a really, really good school all the way around. All the spells, they have good utility, good usability, in my opinion. And fire is just my favorite school. So, I'm really biased to fire. So it's going to be my ranked number 1 school on my PvE ranking list. So next up, we'll go to number 2 on my PvE ranking list, which is Ice. Ice is insane. Not only do they have really decent damage, they can have insane resist and insane amounts of HP. Nearing 12,000 HP, which is almost as much as a lot of the bosses in the game, which is insane. So this is once it loads in. Okay, let's get out of here. A little busy. Should have been a little bit more prepared for this, but oh well. This is my fire. Oh, no, my fire. My ice. My bad. Her name is Michelle Ice River. I've just recently got her to 130. I've been questing with a duo partner, and we've been just going at it. We finished Mirage and Polaris just recently and busted out through those worlds in no time, but let's get her main set on. So this is my Stitch for. This is who she is. She was I think my 4th wizard I created on this account, and at the time I really neglected her because I didn't know how good Ice was late game. But I kind of left her in the dust and didn't really mess with her. But I recently found out how strong Ice can be really late in the game. Like currently I have decent stats, 112 damage with 57 resist and 8,000 HP with all around really decent stats. And that's without Dragoon gear, which, you know, I could go and farm and get even better stats, but once again, it just comes back to the point that I'm a lazy person. I don't like farming all that much, but this is my Ice, and Ice will be ranked number 2 on my PvE ranking list because of the stats. The stats are really insanely good. Early game's a little bit harder because your damage is just not really there. So it's slightly harder, but then again, you get plenty of resist and health early on. So those stats really make up for your lack of damage. Your battles will last longer, but you shouldn't come anywhere as close to dying in most of your fights. And for most of my Ice's life, I soloed until I met up with my duo partner in Chrysalis. So overall, Ice is just a really insane school. Once again, you have the options of really early on AoEs like Blizzard. The damage isn't that great, but it is an AoE, and you get it early on. I think it's in the 20s. Again, I'm not sure. I'm sure it's on the wiki somewhere what level you get it at, but I know it's pretty early on. And then also, if you have the time during Christmas events, you can farm Lore Master and get Reindeer Knight really easy. This last Christmas, they were handing out Spellments left and right in Lore Master, so it was really easy to get. Because once you get, let's go into Spellments. Once you get 75, you just unlock the spell. I think it's 75. It might. Let me check. I don't even have Krampus on here. I know it's not a very high level amount of. It might be 50. I think it's 50. But once you get those 50 Spellments, you just unlock the spell through Spellments, and there you go. You have it. And there was multiple times when I was farming Lore Master that I got 30 Spellment drops in one fight. So just go for that. And then later on in the game, you of course unlock one of Ice's main hits, the Frost Giant, which does decent damage, but it has a stun, which is really helpful in a lot of situations. On the other hand, there are some weaker ice spells out there like Snow Angel that I wish would have more potential, because Snow Angel, for being 8 pips, it's just really underwhelming, and the overtime damage is just not there. In my opinion, I think it's a waste of 8 pips. It's a lot better to go with like a Reindeer Knight, which has a way better initial hit, and the overtime is much better, in my opinion, compared to the Snow Angel. And then you get Snowball Barrage at the end of, or right in the middle of Polaris, which is another great AoE spell once you get a Shadow Pip. It does 95 per pip, which is really insane. One of my go-to spells. And then you get some decent other spells with some decent utility, you know. I heard that the Thieving Dragon is decent in PvP because it stills a shield and then you can attack. So it's good for like if someone sets like an ice shield or a tower shield and you just still that right over and do some damage, which is decent. And I think that's about it for ice. Covered most of this stuff. Just an all-around really good school. I was really struggling between ice and 3rd place on this list, because the 3rd place is, I'd say it's just as good as ice, but ice just has a little bit more tankiness and a little bit more health. You know, they can survive a little bit longer than my 3rd place choice. So we will go ahead and switch over to the 3rd place here, which is, let me get to him, Death. Death, I think, is a great school. I think it's amazing for solo questing. A lot of people don't like that it takes a while to like stack up, but you know, ice is the same thing. You have to stack up a little bit more before you can hit every round. But Death has the options of healing back. The only downside of death, in my opinion, is the fact that you don't get an early AoE. Like, the earliest AoE you get is a Scarecrow, which I think is a level 48 spell. I think that's what 7 pip is. So you have to be level 48 before you get an AoE. Unless you go and open packs or farm Lore Master for Dear Knight, which is an amazing AoE for death. It's a must-have if you're going to play death. The spell is just crazy. Or there's the new spell. It's called Ship of Fools, I think. It's also an AoE, and it's decent. I don't think I would choose it over my Scarecrow or Dear Knight, but I don't have it, so I don't have really any experience with it. My death is, he's currently sitting in Azteca. His stats aren't all that great, but it is what it is. You know, I haven't done much with him because I despise Azteca. It takes too long, and then have to go from one bad world to Chrysalis, which is another one that's really tough. So I haven't had much interest in doing it yet, but maybe sometime in the future I'll take him up to max. But the reason I put Death at 3rd place is because, once again, its overall stats are really balanced out. You get really good damage, really good, decent resist, some decent health. Everything else is decent. But it has the fact of healing back, which is, I think, a big part of Death. Because it's a lot easier to solo when you can hit while also healing yourself all at once. And having Crow be an AoE spell that heals you back is just insane. When you're in a fight and you're low on HP, just use a Crow and you're back to full HP, no problem. And then when it comes to boss fights, I have Dr. Vaughn's monster right here. He's really good, you know. One hit can heal me back to full HP, which is amazing. So that's why I put Death number 3, is because it's just really good overall for PvE. You got really good survivability, and you can heal back. The only reason, like I said, the only reason I didn't put this in number 2 is because Ice is just insane. You have a lot of HP, a lot of resist, and you still have insane damage. And yeah, Ice Death is really decent. So we'll go to my 4th spot now, which will be, in my opinion, Storm. Storm was my 2nd wizard I maxed out on this account, and currently my only other max wizard other than my Fire. My Ice is really close, but she isn't there yet. Storm is insane damage. It's a little bit harder to solo because you're just really weak, but you hit like a truck. And once again, you get an early AoE, Tempest, which is one of the best AoEs in the game. It's 80 per pip plus whatever your enchant is, which is just crazy. And then at level 48, again, you get another AoE, Stormlord, which does basically the same thing as a Frost Giant, only a lot more damage. It also stuns. It's just really good. And then most of Storm's hits are AoE hits, like the main ones. Like, you have Sirens, which most people don't use. Like, I haven't really used Sirens. I just not worth the extra, 2 pips to wait for a Siren when you can just Stormlord or just Tempest. But then later on in the game, you get a really good spell, Glowbug. It was nerfed recently, you know, and lost the ability to destroy blades, but it's still decent. I still use it a lot. But the Caramel spell is pretty insane because with the new crit changes, you're almost guaranteed a crit every time you hit on Storm. And every time you crit with the Caramel spell, you get a blade. So if you're in a fight that I mean, it's really situational, but if you do hit and you still have things left over, you get another blade after you hit, which for bosses where you need to kill the minions early on, and then you need to start blading up again, this is a decent hit, but most of the time you'll probably just stack up and one-shot everything anyways. But it still is an interesting spell, and it's AoE, so I think it's pretty decent. And then Storm stats, like I said, they're a glass cannon most of the time. With the Dragoon sets, you know, you get healthier and you get more resist and stuff, but with my current setup, I'm really a glass cannon. I have less than 6,000 HP, which is not good, but it is what it is for now, until I can get on my lazy spree, or whatever you want to call it, and go and farm for some better gear. But you get really insane damage later on in the game, you get really decent resist, insane critical, and Pierce, once you build Pierce, unlike me. And overall, they're just really decent all the way through the game. Early on, you're going to be fizzling a lot, but that's understandable. It's Storm, has the highest damage spells in the game. It makes sense that you're gonna have to have some kind of weakness to you, but once you hit, or I would say around Waterworks is when you get a little bit of accuracy and you start picking up and less fizzles, more damage. You know, level 60, you're gonna be well over 100 damage if you have the right gear and a good pet. With like I'd say 20 to 30 resist. So Storm all the way around it was a really good school. The only reason I put it at number 4 is because once again, like, it's just really, really weak health wise and resist wise. It just, you hit like a truck, but you also take hits very poorly. But Storm is definitely a solid class for place number 4. So now we'll go to place number 5, which in my opinion will be the Life School. Life, to me, with the new spells that they've added to give it an early on AoE hit, is really decent. If this spell wasn't required to farm Loremaster or have a pack, I would definitely put Life higher on the list. With the new changes with Rebirth, switching around with Forest Lord, you know, you get one an AoE at level 48, but it's still level 48. Back with like the Death, you know, you have to wait so many levels to get a AoE. But if you have either the money to buy some packs or you farm Loremaster, you can get Rat Spin, which is, in my opinion, one of the best spells I've ever added to the game. It does as much as a meteor for a Life Wizard, which is insane. It scared me through all of Celestia, Zafaria, and now into Avalon, where I just basically one-shot all the minions I fight because it has really decent damage. And with 100% damage on a Life, you know, it hits pretty hard. So the only reason that I put Life down here so low is because, once again, one of the main spells for Life is out of a pack or from Loremaster. And it's not like Death to where you can heal yourself back. You have to waste a turn using a heal spell until you get like spells like Wings of Fate. But that's way in the future and not very good overall. But other than that, I say Life is a really decent school. I'm currently leveling my Life through Avalon, and I'm enjoying every second of it with the new Rat Spin spell. I have decent health, really good damage and resist, and crit really doesn't matter yet, but decent crit. And Life has just been a lot of fun with the new Rat Spin spell. I've been enjoying myself greatly. It's just a lot of fun to play with. And that's why I put Life at what is it? Number 5? Yeah, number 5. Life is just really good school. It's a fun school to play with, and then once you hit later on in the game when you're questing with hitters or something like that, you can always switch over to the Jade and healing gear and just become an insane healer, an insane tank, and just overall Life is just a good school to play. And it's even better if you have a team to where you can like just spend your time healing and blading your teammates and helping them out and being a support role. So that is why Life is number 5. So on to number 6, which I wish I could put higher because their stats are pretty decent. Like, their stats overall are normally really good throughout the game. The only problem is with balance is there's no such thing as like at least to my knowledge, there isn't a balance convert. So when you run into like balanced creatures and balanced bosses, you're going to have to use a spell that has an off-school hit like Hydra or a Chimera or Spectral Blast. Which, they're not bad, but just stacking up so much for like a Spectral Blast or a Hydra is kind of difficult. Like a Hydra, you need 3 different blades to make it decent. And then Spectral Blast is kind of like a guessing game. Like, you can blade, you use your balanced blades, and then hopefully that, you know, you hit Storm or Fire, one of the heavier hitters of the spell. But, I mean, it's just really hard to go through a game solo as the balance, because, like I said, if you run into like a balance creature or a balance boss, you know, you're gonna struggle because there's no balance convert. And I mean, like, unless you have like insane pierce or something like that to pierce through the resist, you're gonna struggle with the fight. But other than that, I think balance is a really good school. Like the stats overall throughout the game are really good. You get really good resist, really good damage, really good health. Everything is just great about balance, and then it's very universal. You can go from being a hitter to being a tank to being a healer because balance has it all basically. If it just had better off-school hits or a convert to convert balance into something else, it would definitely be higher on my list. But since it is so situational and either you have to have a team or rely on luck, I think balance is just down here. It's a great school, and I wish there was more to it with the converts and fighting balanced creatures, but it's just not there. It's really, really hard for me to enjoy questing, especially when there's so many balanced creatures and balanced monsters in the later game that are hard to fight without a team. So, like, if you have friends and you can find some duos or a partner out in the wild to help you through those balanced creatures, it goes smoothly. But I'm really going based off solo questing because a lot of my questing is solo until I get to bosses that I can't handle, and I do team ups or I get a friend on to help or whatever it may be. So solo questing wise, I think balance is definitely one of the worst classes or the worst schools. Just because, you know, like I said, it's the spells. It's just hard. Like your main hitting spells are like Raw, Power Nova, your AoE Sandstorm, Judgment. They're all balanced and there's nothing else to it. And it's just hard when you come up to a balance boss. So that is why balance is number 6. Now we're going to number 7, which is personally my least favorite school in the game. I think it's the worst school in the game because I think it's just outright useless, which is Myth. As you can see, it's my lowest character on my account. It is my least favorite character on the account. And the reason why is because I feel like Myth could be so much more. The damage on most of the spells are just outright puny. The damage is very similar to Ice and Death, damage-wise, and Ice and Death, you know, they have utilities and they do other things. Where Myth, you know, you have Orthrus, which is a level 48 AoE spell. And it's just AoE hit. It does nothing else. Whereas Death, you know, you get yours and you can heal back. Or Ice, you can use Frost Giant and stun. And with Myth, it's just a hit. I mean, it does really good damage, but so does Frost Giant and Crow. They do enough damage for what they need to do. And they also have utility in case there's something else wrong. And you can make the argument that Myth has, you know, Earthquake, but like in a PvE state, you're not going to use Earthquake. It does very little damage, and you're not going to really go out of your way to get rid of mobs or AI's blades when they rarely blade. And then Myth has stuns like Medusa, but it's a single target hit. So you have to single target hit Medusa. And it's a 2-round stun, but you're not going to use it on just a normal creature. You're more than likely going to be using it on a boss, and most bosses in the game can't even be stunned, so it's kind of pointless. What's good about Myth, though, is the early AoE. You get Humungo Frog, which is a really decent AoE. The stats are kind of lackluster. You know, they're average. They're decent. You have good resist, good damage, good health. But you don't really have that utility that the other schools do, whereas, you know, Ice has utility, but they have insane health and resist. Death, you know, they have around the... Death and Myth, I'd say, have around the same stats later on in the game, but Death can heal themselves. They don't need to rely on someone else healing them or wasting their turn to heal themselves with a healing spell. Myth just has nothing, in my opinion. And another thing that I hate about Myth is that so many quests goes into, you know, these useless minion spells. Like, when you're out questing, most of the time you're not going to use a minion summon. maybe in like rare occasions you waste, 3-4 pips for a useless minion to do something, but most of the time in PvE you're not going to be using minions at all. And a lot of your really good myth spells come late in the game. Like Darkmoor when you get Colossus, or Polaris when you get Baba Yaga. Those are really good myth spells, but they're late game. So all of your early to mid game is just garbage. Like absolute garbage. I don't know, but myth is just that school that I really don't like. Even though I do have a myth character, and I do plan on doing a walkthrough either with this character or it'll be kind of weird because she's level 22 and is in Marleybone, so I might delete it and remake it. But I will definitely be doing it like a walkthrough on a myth, all the way from level 1 to level 140, and I will do it. Like I'm not late game is gonna be fun. Once I hit late game, it's gonna be fun. But all of early to mid game is gonna be a struggle as myth, and I'm going to try to solo as much as I can. There's going to be like dungeons and bosses, I'm going to have to get a team up, whether it be my friends or, use the team up. But I will try my best to solo with Myth. I'll try my best to have fun, and maybe, doing a playthrough with Myth will change my mind and my opinion on how Myth is, and maybe I'll eventually like it. Because I know there's a lot of Myth main wizard, like a lot of players that are Myth mains, and they really enjoy it. And don't get me wrong, the spells, the designs, I think are insanely good. Like Orthrus and Minotaur and Medusa, like their animations are insane. And then you get Colossus, which is like a giant bug carrying a globe on his back. Like that's a really cool spell design, and I love the animations to him. And when I was younger, Myth was like my favorite school to like, I don't know, watch. Like I loved the design of everything. Everything was just really interesting to me. But it was just so disappointing that a Myth doesn't have that good of damage, doesn't have that good of utility, and it's just not there for me. But who knows? Maybe it'll change my mind, maybe not. But we will definitely be doing a walkthrough. I don't know for sure if it'll be this character or not. I'm probably gonna delete it and just restart, because I haven't made it that far, and most of my gears, there's no level on it, so I can just immediately just swap most of it over to my new character and then be on my way. Got a decent pet already going with a quad double. The stats could be better, but I mean, it was like a first pet thing. I just kind of threw it together and then switched it over here. But yeah, so this is my Myth. She's just level 22 because, least favorite school. Didn't put much effort into it. She has decent stats for level 22, I can one-shot most of the creatures I fight with a human frog gargantuan. Then I have, bloodbat and stuff for backup. But if you guys would like to see a walkthrough and want me to either delete this character or keep going this character, let me know in the comments. I haven't made up my mind yet. I'm really leaning towards deleting it because it'd be kind of weird to like start a walkthrough in Marleybone. Then I get to go through the new user experience that they put into Wizard101 recently, so I can experience all of that too. So I'm really leaning more towards deleting it and restarting. But yeah, just let me know in the comments what you think I should do. But yeah, that's all my wizards, and that's my personal takes on the schools. And I'd like to do a giveaway on this video. So I'm going to do a 5-pack giveaway. If you'd like to enter the giveaway, in the comments below, comment hashtag Fire Squad. For all those fire mains who know who the best school is in the game. Fire all the way. Fire is just insanely good. Favorite school. Will always be my favorite school. Love the animations. Love the design. Love everything about Fire. Fire is just amazing. And yeah, so if you want to be entered in to get those packs, I'll be giving away 5 packs to 5 different winners. Just leave a comment down below, hashtag Fire Squad, and you'll be entered to win. So I'll probably announce the winners on Saturday on a video. So if you leave a comment, you have until Saturday to enter, and I will do a drawing on a video and an introduction with my decision on whether I'm gonna start my Mist walkthrough over or just continue from Marleybone and, you know, kind of start in a random spot. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I hope to make a lot more videos and, I don't know, just improve on my content from here. And I'd like to hear you guys' opinions on what your favorite schools are and what you think is the top ranking school for PvE. I'm not a big fan of PvP, even though, you know, my Storm's a PvP warlord with the PvP robe. I just really don't enjoy it. Personally, I think it's boring. But yeah, so if you guys enjoyed the video, just let me know, leave a like, and I'll catch you guys next time. Goodbye!